I do have a little bit of interest and a little bit of background in cities through the time, about half my life, that I've spent in my adopted city of Chicago. And so I do have some sense of the issues that are being confronted now in that city. And whether or not American cities are models that we've, poor models that we've exported to elsewhere in the world or not, I think anyone who gives it a moment's thought recognizes immediately that many American cities face grave challenges which they're seeking to address, particularly of water. For example, Chicago sits next to one of the greatest bodies of fresh water in the world, yet in the vast, expanding, sprawling suburbs of Chicago, there are many problems with those individuals who are not allowed to take water from the lakes and who are therefore very much concerned about the shallow water aquifers that sustain those sprawling suburbs. Similarly, while Chicago and indeed other American cities had the benefit of far-sighted planners, people like Olmsted and Burnham, who set aside large areas of land to what today we might call green infrastructure. The question is being asked now, where are the Olmsteds and Burnhams of the 21st century? Who are the people who are thinking about setting aside land in cities, not only to provide basic ecological services like the recharge of aquifers or the absorption of floodwaters. In terms of general comments on the content of the meeting, I would really only have three, and they're really very general, based on things that I've picked up over the last day and a half. There's a good deal of emphasis on data, and several people have waved around this wonderful book that's been compiled that really pulls together a lot of information, as we've heard, some of it already known, some of it put together for the first time, but all of it presented in a new and compelling and compact way. You'd have to be pretty cynical to say that we don't need that data. Of course we need that data to really understand what's going on. But I think one of the things that we would try to encourage, certainly in our students, is also to question the data at all times. And to think about how that data might be refined in the future. Because obviously this is an ongoing process. So two things that come to mind is, first of all, the obvious limitations of the census data that we've heard talked about today, the extent to which that census data really captures what's going on, really captures the full dynamics of this seething ecosystem that we call the city. So that would be one question is how is the data that we have available to us now really capturing the full dynamics of the situation? So that's at one scale. But at the other scale, I would say that one thing that we would hope that our students go away with is a sense that these cities, even though they occupy a tiny amount of land, have a hugely disproportionate effect globally. So they have a massive impact nationally, but they also have a giant impact globally, producing a vast amount of the greenhouse gas emissions on a global scale. So cities, if you like, the teleconnections of cities extend out over their not only their immediate hinterlands, but also globally. So these cities are parts of global processes, and the question is to what extent do we understand the global processes in which these cities are embedded. A common theme today that we've heard a lot about is this urban-rural issue, the urban-rural connections, the benefits of and the distortions that come from being urban but staying rural, and the gradations that exist in the peri-urban areas that relate to definitional or governance-related issues. And I think a general topic that we all should be concerned about in the future is the extent to which these cities that we've been discussing here are all basically sustained by resources flowing in from elsewhere. Whether it's the energy coming from the coal mines scattered around India, or whether it's from the coal mines that are now exporting coal from Australia to sustain these cities. Whether it's the water that we're abstracting out of the rivers with their sources in the Himalayas, or whether it's the food that we're bringing in from the agricultural hinterlands. So the cities and the rural are connected through a whole range of processes. And those processes are certainly part of understanding the complexity of what's going on through these very rapid changes.